Background: I am in the middle of finals season right now for my first semester in medical school. On top of that, I am for the first time ever living alone. My mom sometimes comes and goes, leaving a bunch of food for me that I can choose to thaw and reheat to eat whenever. It has been a godsend, and I appreciate it. I come from a very religious background, along with a culture where relationships before marriage are taboo. So honestly, my folks don't entirely know the extent of my relationship beyond the fact that I'm talking with someone. My girlfriend, who I have been together with for about a year now lives 3 hours away from me. Honestly, it's been shaky in our relationship, but I still care for her. I'm honestly not even entirely sure how I feel about it all, but I enjoy my time with her generally, and I want what is best for her, despite me thinking we have two very different outlooks on life, and we manage life very differently. Honestly, after starting medical school, I have begun to think that relationships are not for me at this time due to all the drama they bring and all of the stresses and requirements. I'm struggling out here. My girlfriend has visited once before, and I'm not gonna lie, it was nice. It was pleasant to have her stay with me for about 2 weeks. It was nice to cuddle up with someone. But then, with the nice comes the not so nice. Number 1, I guess her background was a lot more affluent than mine. I'm kind of conscious of my spending, and even more so now that I'm having to take school loans and pay my own bills and everything. She doesn't understand that. She still uses her parents' money and acts like money is not an issue. Money comes and money goes, but she doesn't even work. And she racks up her mom's credit card bills. And you can tell that her mom is not happy with it and cannot sustain this kind of spending. But she doesn't berate her for a number of reasons that would be too long to go into. So all of that to say, I find it kind of wasteful when things are being used in a wasteful way around the house, or when I'm buying her shrimp and she's chopping off the lower half of already peeled, already deveined shrimp, along with toilet paper, paper towels, water, etc. This honestly should not even be number 1 because it's probably the most minor, but it's still a little bit grating because it's on the forefront of my mind when I'm trying to live conscientiously. Number 2, she doesn't understand boundaries and is kind of messy. She just raids my pantries and my fridge and does whatever she wants, even if it's for me. And it's sweet, but I'm obligated to be happy that she did it when I'm kind of not, because she never cleans up after herself. When I live alone, I'm very mindful of my mess, and I clean up right away. I avoid dishes however I can. I put things away. She just takes things out of my cabinets without asking, uses them, beats them up, scratches up my stove, puts non-oven safe things in the oven, does not do her dishes that she makes, and they pile up until I have to ask her to, and much more. And it's so upsetting because I liked having a clean environment and apartment, but I'm unable to do that when she's here, either because it's 5 times more messy because of her, or because I don't have the time because of school, and now the additional time I have to spend with her. And I don't even ask her to cook or anything. In fact, I keep telling her that I have a lot of food stored up, and I'm trying to eat that. I don't really have the funds for more food. I'm broke. Yet she insists on buying more groceries on top of every single meal instead of cooking in bulk. So then I have to spend an additional 20 to 30 minutes that I don't have trying to wash the dishes every time. I've asked her to do it, but she doesn't even do it. And it's the most frustrating thing to wash something after seeing it dirty for a few hours, only for it to be used again in the next hour, especially if you are not the one to use it in either of the cases. Number 3, she's on this fitness wave, and her fitness instructor emphasized the importance of protein. Great. I'm very happy about that. But now I'm in a position where she's often complaining about me not having enough protein in the house for her, when I am really not even meant to, nor do I want to support another person right now. And also, protein is expensive, and she's eating more than me? I don't know. It's kind of irritating at this point because that much excess is not necessary. All the while, she's raiding my pantry, eating any snack she finds, eating multiple chocolate and candy bars a day, and getting upset when I don't eat them with her, even though I really don't eat more than 1 chocolate a day, if that, and it defeats the purpose of her trying to get that high-protein, high-fitness diet. And I'm seriously starting to feel like I'm going to get diabetes if she stays with me. My mouth tastes sweet all the time, and I hate it. So we talked after she left last week, and I said, hey, I have my finals, and I don't think I can give much time. I'm just going to be locked into my studies. She mentioned coming back, and I said, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm going to just be studying. I literally said, if you come, I will move my things to the school library and study there because I get distracted easily. It's true, I do. I didn't get much studying done with her here. I lived very lax while she was here, and I hate it because that's not what I want for myself. All of that to say that I did not want her to come. Like, yes, while it was nice, it still was not conducive to what I have to do, and I have to absolutely crush this final. I went as far as to say that, okay, if you come, then let me be the one to tell you to come when I'm ready, because I have to get my studying in properly. But I just checked her location, and she is now making that 3-hour drive. She didn't say anything to me, and honestly, I didn't even say anything to her after seeing it. I did not want her to come. It's also a very long drive for her to be making in the middle of the night, and she definitely has other priorities that she should have taken care of before even thinking about coming, like properly fixing her car, which I told her to do literally multiple times today. On top of that, my first final is on Monday. I'm not going to be able to, nor will I give her any time before then at all, and even after I have to keep studying. And I had just started to tidy up the mess that had accumulated from her last stay, most of it her doing, and I have not even finished yet. I'm just so aggravated. I'm going to have to just play the happy guy who is surprised his girlfriend came, despite asking her not to, I guess. I don't know. This is kind of a vent, but also, how do I even navigate this? Do I say anything on her drive that I saw? Almost forgot. My last post got deleted because I didn't include how long we've been together. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It sounds like you two are completely incompatible. These issues you are having with her will not get better with time. Beyond that, it doesn't sound like you like her all that much. Do both of you a favor and just end it. Medical school is difficult. While it is possible to date, I did some, but never had that much time to give. You don't have time to deal with relationship problems. So it has to be either mutually casual or a relationship between two very compatible people. Comment 2. First up, you need to say no. You're saying vague things like, if you have to come. Stop that. Just say, no, that doesn't work for me. Secondly, all of your problems with your girlfriend have the same root cause. She is selfish and doesn't consider how her actions affect anyone else. Do you really want to date a selfish partner? Now for the update. A week after finals, my GF sent me a surprise package that made me just, ugh. I finally broke up with her after seeing her reaction on social media. So I got this package a week after finals, and in it was a note saying she missed me, along with some snacks. She also included a gym membership card, which I didn't think was necessary. We had talked about money and how tight things were, and I didn't think it was smart for her to spend money on a gym membership when she could work out for free at home. Anyway, I decided to focus on studying and ignored her texts for a couple of days. But then she posted a picture on social media with her friends at a local restaurant, tagging me, and it made me feel uncomfortable. I got a bunch of messages from her friends asking why I hadn't responded to her, which was just what I needed. So one Saturday evening, I went grocery shopping, and guess who I ran into? My girlfriend. At the grocery store, buying a ridiculous amount of protein shakes. We had a tense conversation about her spending, and she insisted she needed all the shakes. After that, she suggested we have a couples workout video call that weekend. But I said no. I spent the next week studying a lot, but she kept texting me about her workouts and new recipes she was trying. Her fitness posts on social media ramped up too, and some of them had my apartment in the background. My mom even asked about my girlfriend during a video call, saying she hadn't heard me mention her in a while. I overheard my mom talking to my dad about how they were worried I was distracted by this relationship. Then my older brother chimed in, who had just gone through a breakup. He had seen my girlfriend's posts, and he questioned if she was a good fit for me. I felt pressured to do something, so I set aside a weekend to meet my girlfriend halfway for a serious talk. On the drive, I prepared a list of issues I wanted to address. When I arrived, she was there with a friend who claimed to be just visiting, which really added to my frustration. We went out for dinner, and she spent the whole time talking about her new fitness routine, ignoring my concerns. At one point, her friend excused herself, leaving us alone, but she kept focusing on her phone, replying to texts. I had to raise my voice a bit to get her attention, and she rolled her eyes, saying I was being too serious. The conversation got heated when I mentioned her social media, and she dismissed my feelings, saying I should be proud of her. I stood up and left the restaurant, deciding to drive home. She chased after me, insisting we needed to talk, but I wasn't having it. On the drive back, I noticed her car following me, and I felt trapped. So I made a sudden turn into a parking lot to lose her, parked, and waited to see what she would do. Eventually, she drove past me, and I decided to go home. A few days after that, she called me, claiming she was coming over to surprise me. I told her I didn't want any visitors, but she insisted she was already on her way. I made a plan to be busy and unresponsive when she arrived. When she showed up, I ignored her knock and pretended to be on a video call with a classmate. Eventually, she gave up and left, looking frustrated. The next day, I got a bunch of texts from her, accusing me of being immature. A week later, I found out from a mutual friend that she was planning a big birthday party. She invited all of her friends, but not me. That gave me an idea for a gift to send her, so I got a gym bag and filled it with the snacks she had sent me. The package arrived on the day of her party, and I waited to see her reaction on social media. She posted a story showing the gym bag and snacks, captioning it as a funny reminder of why they broke up. That was it for me, so I unfollowed her on everything. This whole mess kinda got me feeling like I don't even know the person I was with. I just feel so done with all of it. It's like I tried to communicate, I really did, but it didn't matter to her. She was just all about her new life and couldn't see how her actions were affecting me. And the fact that she thought making fun of me in front of her friends was okay? Just no. I felt like I was trying to hold on to something good while she was just ready to move on and laugh about it. It hurts. But honestly, I think I'm better off. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for listening. Mini update. After the breakup, I focused on myself and started dating someone new. I'm feeling happier and more at ease now. My friends say this girl is a much better match for me. Am I the idiot for refusing to be my husband's crutch while he parties his life away? We dated for 5 years before we got married. I feel we were pretty immature when we did get married, but I loved him. He was the center of my universe and was a good boyfriend. We discussed everything, so it's not like I went in blind. He's always been the extrovert, and I've been the opposite, but we fit. However, during the marriage, it felt like it all became too much for him. He wasn't ready for any responsibility or the need for companionship from my side. I paid for rent and everything. I was okay with that as long as he was with me, but he was never present physically or mentally after the first 6 months. He was out socializing, doing drugs and alcohol, and disappearing for days. When he did come back, I used to be super angry because he didn't pick up calls or let me know he was okay. So I stonewalled him. He says that spurred him on more because it made him feel lonely. What about me being alone in that marriage? Nope, he didn't care about my side of things. I discussed all this with him, gave him ultimatums, fought with him, nothing worked. After 3 years of struggling in the marriage, I developed health issues, put on weight, and I was a shadow of my former self. I walked out when he was on one of his binges. He came home to an empty apartment. He says he was stunned and begged me and made his mother and siblings beg me to come back. After numerous promises from him and me still being in love with him and wanting to make my marriage work, I agreed to continue the relationship. However, I laid out some rules if he wanted me to move back in. 5 years after just dating like that, none of what he promised happened. He didn't improve his finances, never got his own place, lived with his mom, and never stopped drinking. He stopped the drugs, though. I finally got tired of waiting and asked for a divorce. Now I am out of love and he's not a priority. Shocked by my new attitude and selfishness, he has improved his life a lot, but I'm not interested anymore. He still drinks and blames me for it, saying I don't talk to him enough or give him time or any moral support, so he's lonely and he drinks. I've tried to be a friend and give him time to accept my new reality and told him that's not my problem and he needs to take ownership of his problem. I've asked him to go for therapy, and he says he will, but says he needs my support. I've been plenty mean to him by not softening my words and feel guilty about it, but why should it be my problem anymore? I feel I don't owe him anything because he was never there for me when I needed him, and I could never depend on him emotionally, financially, or in any sort of emergency because he was never around while we were married. I've wasted my 20s and 30s on this man, and I'm tired now. I want to know what Reddit thinks. Give it to me straight. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Girl, just leave him. You owe him nothing. You keep giving him years and years and years of your life. He's an addict. Stop giving up more years of your life. Consider looking into therapy for yourself. And seriously, walk away from him. If you have friends or family in different states or countries, consider moving. Sometimes, physically separating yourself from a situation is really what you need. Good luck. Comment 2. I think Reddit will agree that you need to quit giving him your time. He has to want to be sober and better himself for himself, not for anyone else, including you. It sounds like he's never been willing to do that. Ending contact would probably be the healthiest decision for both of you, but especially for you. Now, for the update. I spent the weekend going through old photos and stuff, and I came across this pic of my ex at a party. He just looked so out of it, like he was in another world. This pic really reminded me of the last time we went to my cousin's wedding, and he totally embarrassed me. At the wedding, he spilled red wine all over my dress, laughed like it was the funniest thing ever, and when I asked him to chill with the drinking, he just ignored me. I mean, could he be any more disrespectful? After the wedding, I confronted him about his behavior, and he just brushed it off, saying I was overreacting. Classic. The next day, he promised he wouldn't drink so much, but guess what? I caught him sneaking drinks before our anniversary dinner. Like, seriously? During dinner, he was so distant, texting his friends instead of actually talking to me. What a romantic dinner, huh? Over the next few days, his drinking got worse, and so did our arguments about responsibilities and him neglecting everything. He missed paying bills, so I had to cover the expenses while he was out partying like there was no tomorrow. I needed some space to think, so I decided to go to my sister's birthday party. While I was there, my sister's friend mentioned seeing my ex at a bar the night before with a bunch of people. I was like, great, just what I needed to hear. I asked my sister for more details about that night, but she didn't know anything specific. After the party, I couldn't help myself and texted my ex, asking where he was the night before. He gave me this vague answer, saying he was hanging out with friends, which didn't sit right with me. So, I decided to check social media, and what do I find? Photos of him at the bar, looking all happy and carefree. Then there was this one photo of him with another woman, and they looked way too cozy. I confronted him about that, but he just laughed it off, saying it was a fun night out. A week later, while packing up our stuff, I found this hidden stash of alcohol in a box labeled old books. I mean, really? I confronted him again, and he got all defensive, saying he deserved to have fun. After that, I knew I had to call a family meeting to discuss our situation. But during the meeting, my parents took his side, saying he was going through a tough time and needed support. I couldn't believe it. Later that week, I got a call from his mom asking to meet. When we met, I was blindsided when she offered to help him financially if I backed off from the divorce. I was like, no way, this guy needs to take responsibility for his actions. She accused me of being selfish and not understanding how hard things were for him. A few days later, I found out he had borrowed money from friends without telling me, putting us deeper in debt. I sat down and wrote out all the things I was tired of dealing with in this relationship. I sent him a long message outlining my frustrations, but he replied with anger, saying I was making him feel worse. We had a final explosive argument about our future, and he accused me of not being supportive. A few days later, while packing up more stuff, I found a letter he wrote during our early relationship, expressing his love for me. I eventually filed for divorce, feeling a mix of relief and frustration over the whole situation. The court date was coming up, and I was getting ready for the possibility of a messy legal battle. On the day of the hearing, he didn't even show up, leaving me feeling totally abandoned and angry. Afterward, I found out he was partying with friends, completely ignoring the divorce proceedings. The judge ruled in my favor, but honestly, winning didn't feel like a victory at all. To answer a few questions, my ex's family knew he had a drinking problem, but didn't support me when I tried to address it. I don't know the woman in the photo, and he claimed it was harmless. I didn't have any issues with alcohol or partying before this. Am I the idiot for suggesting boundaries with my fiancé's overbearing mother who can't stand not being the center of attention? I have been with my fiancé Jordan for nearly 6 years, engaged for 1.5. Overall, we have a really great, strong relationship, and he is truly my best friend. Nothing is perfect, but we do not have any major issues, besides his mother, my future mother-in-law. My future mother-in-law had Jordan and his younger brother Tim when she was very young. She was married right out of high school. After Jordan's younger brother was born, her husband left and married another woman with whom he then had 2 other children. From what I gather, my future mother-in-law has never gotten over this betrayal. She brings it up often, especially when drinking. We have advised her to go to therapy to manage these emotions, and she has never gone. I'm no professional, but I strongly suspect her emotional immaturity stems from this time in her life. It's hard to even know where to start, and I could give 100 examples, but basically, her emotions are absolutely unpredictable. This can happen with or without alcohol involved. An example of this is when my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were getting married years ago. She felt pushed out and made everything about her, even though my sister-in-law did her best to include her. She was so extraordinarily jealous of my sister-in-law's mother. My future mother-in-law made a scene at the bridal shower. She threw a bucket of drinks on the ground and was so drunk that my sister-in-law's dad had to drive her home, yelled at my brother-in-law and sister-in-law at their rehearsal dinner in front of a crowd of friends and family, and even called my sister-in-law a bee on her wedding day. She was triggered by something she misinterpreted that my sister-in-law said. This is a pattern that basically continues during any event or holiday. On Mother's Day, she was upset because we organized a fun baseball game outing with all of our moms, and she was upset that she had to share the day. So the following Mother's Day, my fiancé took her out alone, and she was venting and upset because my brother-in-law was not there. They were traveling. It's never enough, no matter how much we try to orchestrate the perfect days for her. On a family trip to Cabo, she told my fiancé to go F himself because she was sad about a family member that passed away. I am not sure why this became our fault. We live literally 5 minutes from my future mother-in-law, and we see her at least once a week. I see my own parents maybe every 4 to 5 months. She gets plenty of one-on-one time where we hang out at her house, bring over dinner, meet up at breweries, etc. Yesterday was her most recent outburst. Jordan and I went to meet my brother-in-law and sister-in-law at a brewery about 15 minutes away from our house. When we were arriving, my future mother-in-law texted, "Are you guys going to the brewery?" We let her know we were there already, and she scoffed that we did not think to ask her if she wanted a ride. My fiancé and I were still feeling frustrated by another outburst she had this past weekend. So honestly, we just simply did not think to ask her if she was going. She ended up driving over, and before she sat down at the table, she looked at us and said, "I'm so pissed off right now. I'm shocked she was that upset about a ride, and B, came all this way to make a scene. If you try to confront her, she will deny, and the next time we see her, she acts like everything is perfect. It's baffling." Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Yeah, she's not going to change until everyone stops putting up with this behavior. She comes to the table, "I'm so incredibly frustrated right now. Everyone stands up and says, "Okay, we will see you when you are feeling better," and leave. She starts her drama. Everyone turns away from her or walks away. She wants to throw things, break things, leave it for her to clean up. Stop inviting her to places. No, you aren't invited, Mom, because your behavior is inexcusable. She wants the drama and attention. Give her none. The four of you should work together. United front. Make alternate plans. We are going to meet here. If Mom shows up and starts being rude, we will pack up our stuff and meet somewhere else. Everyone keep repeating, your behavior is inexcusable. We are not going to tolerate this anymore. You certainly do not want any children acting like this. It's hard to punish a child for deliberate destruction when grandma is doing the same thing. Comment 2. I'm confused. If brother-in-law and sister-in-law agree with you and your husband that Mom's behavior is unacceptable, then why would limiting contact with her mean less contact with your nephew? Aside from that, what is her motivation or incentive to change? It sounds like people just put up with her with no consequences. So why would she change? Now, for the update. The other day, Jordan and I went to his parents' house for dinner to celebrate his birthday. I thought it would be a chill night, but of course, it turned into a whole thing. So, first off, his mom shows up with this cake she decorated herself. Now, normally she gets these really nice store-bought cakes, but for some reason, she decided to go all Martha Stewart on us this time. I mean, the cake was interesting. Let's just say it wasn't going to be winning any baking competitions. While we're eating, she starts making these comments about how she wishes Jordan would spend more time with her. Like, okay, we get it. You're lonely, but come on. It's his birthday dinner. Can we not make it all about you for one night? I could see Jordan getting more and more uncomfortable as she kept going on about her feelings. It's like, dude, your mom is doing it again. You know, she has this talent for making everything about her. So dinner's over, and Tim, Jordan's brother, tries to lighten the mood with a joke. But of course, that backfires, and Mom starts criticizing him for not helping her more. Tim's face was priceless, by the way. Here's this guy just trying to get through the night, and she's coming for him full force. Jordan, trying to be the peacemaker, suggests we play a board game. His mom is not having it. She says she feels unappreciated and storms off to her room. Classic. The next day, I get a text from Jordan saying his mom is upset with him for not defending her during dinner. I mean, really? This is where we're at? I tell him we should talk to her and set some boundaries, but he's hesitant. He doesn't want to make things worse. Yeah, too late for that, buddy. A week goes by, and we have this family gathering for Easter. Just when I think we can have a peaceful day, Jordan's mom confronts me about my disrespectful attitude. Like, what exactly am I disrespecting? She starts going off, and I try to explain my perspective, but she won't let me speak. I'm thinking, wow, can't even get a word in. Jordan tries to play mediator, asking her to calm down, but that just makes things worse. She gets even angrier, and the next thing you know, she's storming out of the house, slamming doors like a teenager. I mean, if we had $1 for every time that happened, we'd be rich. After that, we decided to limit our visits to his parents' house. We're just trying to keep the peace around here, you know? Then, a few days later, Tim calls me. He's like, Mom is really struggling with feeling alone. I'm thinking, yeah, no kidding. Tim says he's worried she might spiral further without support, which honestly got to me a bit. I mean, I don't want the woman to end up in a bad place or something. I suggest to Jordan that we invite his mom over for a one-on-one conversation. Let's clear the air, you know? He's hesitant at first, but he eventually agrees. He thinks it's a good way to help her. We decide to schedule the meeting for the following week. So, the day comes, and his mom shows up with an attitude right off the bat. She's immediately bringing up all these past grievances. I mean, can a girl catch a break? I calmly try to explain how her actions have affected everyone, and I stress that we need to understand each other. Jordan backs me up, which is a relief. He tells her we want to support her, but we need her to acknowledge her behavior. That's when things start to heat up. She insists she's being unfairly attacked. I mean, come on. Lady, it's not an attack, it's a conversation. In a moment of frustration, I share this specific instance where her outbursts disrupted a family event. She just stops. For the first time, she actually pauses and thinks about what she's done. It's like a light bulb went off, and I couldn't believe it. I suggest we work on spending more quality time together as a family, and she actually agrees to think about therapy. I was shocked. We end the meeting with a plan for regular family dinners, and the hope is that we can have some open dialogue during those times. A few weeks later, she reaches out and invites us over for a barbecue. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. During the barbecue, she actually makes an effort to engage positively. At one point, she even asks me for help with a recipe. I almost dropped my burger. We shared stories, and honestly, there were way fewer confrontational moments than usual. It was like we'd entered an alternate universe where people actually got along. I'm not saying everything is fixed, but it's a step in the right direction. At least for now, things seem to be a little more peaceful in our corner of the world. Edit. After the barbecue, we continued with the family dinners, and they seemed to be going well. However, we noticed that the more we spent time together, the more she wanted to spend alone with Jordan. It got to the point where she was asking him to come over without me, which made me uncomfortable. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.